we're going to continue to push for everything that we've earned. And I think that the word earned is something that needs to be highlighted. I think a lot of times we get told to just continue to take crumbs and be thankful for what we have, and that's just not the case anymore in our league. Sometimes I think our intelligence is insulted in a lot of ways. We're not just basketball players. We understand basic economics. We understand business models.
That was one of the esteemed deacons at Woke United Methodist and former woke welfare collector in the WNBA, Natasha Cloud. And I say former woke welfare collector for a reason, because Natasha Cloud is currently unemployed. As you just heard in the clip, Natasha Cloud claims to have a firm understanding of business. Over the last 12-18 months, Tasha was one of the leading voices in the fight to get WNBA players money that they claim they have earned, or as the IRS prefers to call it, a donation. For reasons unknown, Natasha Cloud believes that she is worth millions of dollars. But there's just one problem, one tiny problem. Every team in the WNBA believes Natasha Cloud is financially worthless. I have been telling you guys for years, there will come a point when the sympathy money runs out. There always comes a point when you will be expected to perform. You'll be expected to produce something of value. You'll be expected to produce something besides toxic ass gas. And you will be faced with one of two options. You either step up or you step aside. Or in the case of Natasha Cloud, you get pushed aside. For some reason, WNBA players, they've always seemed to struggle with the concept of value. There is this belief that is prevalent in the WNBA that players should be paid millions of dollars because they pretend to play basketball professionally, when the reality is very few, and I mean very, very few in the WNBA are worth the millions of dollars that they are currently being paid. For years now, Natasha Cloud has had the mouth of a superstar and the production of a role player. According to Natasha Cloud, America is trash. I am so sad. Our country continues to oppress marginalized communities who have been oppressed since the beginning of the times. My brothers and sisters who used to be brothers, we must stand in our power and fight the patriarchy. Natasha Cloud is proud to be a brigadier general in the woke army leading the fight against mythical racism. She has accused fans of Caitlin Clark of being racist. Last summer, she campaigned for Zorro Mamdani to be the lead destroyer of New York City. At the time, Natasha Cloud was living in New York City while playing for the New York Lesbians in the WNBA. She was encouraging New Yorkers to vote for Zorro Mamdani so he could implement democratic socialism. Translation: Natasha Cloud is a communist. She wants to take away your money and give it to people who produce nothing outside of converting oxygen to carbon dioxide. Over the years, Natasha Cloud has proudly stated that she is an activist first and a pretend basketball player second. While being paid by the Washington Mythicals in 2020, Natasha Cloud, she decided to skip the entire WNBA season to combat mythical racism and lobby for stricter gun control laws. At the time, she was making around $117,000 a year in the WNBA. In terms of professional athletes, Natasha Cloud was basically making minimum wage. When there is minimal investment, there's also minimal expectations. But now, with WNBA players making millions of dollars, the expectations have drastically increased. There is real investment in this dump of a league. And Natasha Cloud is finding out the hard way that she is no longer wanted. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Link to the second channel is in the description below. Today on the second channel, going to be talking about the ongoing struggles at Nike. Nike's stock has declined 30% in the last couple of months. Now, according to Brian Windhorst, one of the lead NBA voices at ESPN, there is a logical reason for Nike's decline. I'll explain what that is. So if you haven't already, click the link in the description below, subscribe to the second channel. While I was on vacation last week, the woke welfare was flowing at record high levels throughout the WNBA dump. You guys remember Bob Greiner, right? Several years ago, Bob became famous by attempting to sneak her good friend Mary Jane into Mother Russia. Instead of flying high again, she spent the next few months in what Bob described as luxurious accommodations provided by Vlad Putin. The rest of us described it as prison. Bob Greiner is now a millionaire after signing a one-year contract with the Female Sons from Connecticut for over $1 million this season. AJ Wilson, but my name is Asia.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
AJ Wilson, the lead unknown of the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces. She became the wealthiest player in the history of the WNBA with a contract worth over $5 million. Now again, this is American dollars, not pesos or Ethiopian breadcrumbs. Under the new collective bargaining agreement, WNBA players are now being paid in actual American dollars. Aaliyah Boston, De'Erica Hamby, Veronica Burton. I already know what you're thinking. Who, and who? The trio of who's are now worth millions after signing their new contracts. Everyone seems to be getting paid in the WNBA, except, of course, Caitlin Clark, the only player responsible for this influx of money, and Natasha Cloud. The question is why? Why is Natasha Cloud suddenly unwanted and unemployed? She was one of the lead complainers. She was one of the leading voices in fighting for money that she hasn't earned. So why is Natasha Cloud not benefiting from her own efforts? Why is everyone getting paid but Natasha Cloud? According to some reports, Natasha Cloud is currently unemployed due to salary cap restrictions. Most teams in this league simply can't afford a player of this caliber. Natasha Cloud's one of the best players in the league. Her price tag is way too high for most WNBA teams. I have been watching the NBA for over 30 years. When it comes to retaining top players, it is extremely rare for teams to allow top players to walk over money. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't happen, but when you have a dominant player, in most cases, teams are not letting that player walk over money. I think there's a more logical reason as to why Natasha Cloud is unemployed. She's not worth the risk. Like I said earlier, Natasha Cloud has a superstar mouth with a role player's production. Caitlin Clark can do and say things that other players can't get away with. Why? It's white privilege, damn it! No, it's the privilege that comes along when you provide value, especially when the value you're providing is unmatched. Natasha Cloud does not have that luxury. Outside of friends and family, no one is paying to see Natasha Cloud. 2019, she won the WNBA Finals with the Washington Mythical, securing off-season rights to the Golden Toilet. During a championship season, The Mythicals ranked near the bottom of the league in attendance. The 2019 WNBA Finals averaged 381,000 viewers. Game 1 of the series only drew 238,000, which was the smallest audience for Game 1 in the history of a league that is accustomed to setting record low ratings. You see, when WNBA players were making minimum wage, unknown players, they were allowed to get away with things as long as it generated publicity. Think about it. When no one is watching your product, you have nothing to lose. So when Natasha Cloud refers to America as trash, when she is leading the fight against mythical racism, when she is refusing to play an entire season so she can fulfill her lifelong dream of being a political activist, these stories generate headlines in a league that struggles to get noticed. But now, the pressure is on. I remember years ago when I was working at Fastenal, I had just graduated college. I was working an entry-level position. I was talking to my district manager one day who I thought was rich. He was probably making, I don't know, $80,000-$90,000 a year. In 2008, 2009, that was pretty good money. As a 24-year-old kid at the time who knew absolutely nothing, I was telling my district manager how great his life must be, how nice it must be to have that kind of money. I'll never forget what he told me. He said, when you're young and you don't have money, the idea of having money is idealized. Now, does money make things easier? Absolutely. But what you don't realize, what comes along when you accept someone else's money, is responsibility, expectations. When you're being paid by someone else, you are beholden to their demands. At the time, fresh out of college, I think the company might have been paying me $40,000, $50,000 a year. He said, you go home at 5 o'clock and your day is done. My day never ends. When you're working an entry-level position, there's no pressure. You do your job, you go home. If you stop showing up to work one day, they just find someone else to replace you. But the higher you move up, the more money you make, the higher the expectations become. That is what WNBA players are about to find out. And that is what Natasha Cloud is finding out the hard way. You got what you wanted. You wanted chartered flights? You got it. You wanted increased media attention? You got it. You wanted more nationally televised games? You got it. You wanted multi-million-dollar contracts? You got it. But now, all the expectations, all the pressure is on you to perform. There are no more excuses. There is no more pissing people off to generate publicity. It's too risky because you're now in a position where you have everything to lose, which is why every team in the WNBA is hesitant to sign Natasha Cloud, because they know she is more trouble than she is worth. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.